Hey there, beloved Ascension pioneers, and welcome to another one of my nature short video updates. It's an Ascension update and we have a lot of energy coming through, so I wanted to do a short video because lately I'm too busy to do a long one. As I've said, I had a topic prepared and I already made notes last week. I was such a good girl. I did everything last week, but we still are humans, so I couldn't do everything. I'll be back with that as soon as I can, but I want to do this short energy update after a while. As you know, lately I just have time if I go outside, and this is the time I give to myself. Otherwise, I'm focusing on my art block, which now is finally published this week. So I'm really excited about this. It was a lot of work and behind the scenes in the background, especially lots of creating. So this is what this update will actually be about creation. As you've probably heard this before, sometimes people use this proverb or, I don't know how the saying goes, but it's something about that life isn't about just suddenly discovering ourselves, it's about creating ourselves. And I totally agree with that, because there's a lot of talking in the spiritual communities about this, finding yourselves, finding your path, but we forget that we are actually co-creator beings who are in total charge of our path. So once we become aware of this, we really start working with that conscious co-creation. And this is what one of my last videos was about. This is what my latest newsletter is about. As as you've probably noticed if you're subscribed to my webpage, I didn't have a newsletter in February. February was just whoosh, intense. It was the first month when the year of horse in Chinese astrology actually started paving its way through. And now in March we're going to have a new astrological year coming up. And there's just so many momentums also in cosmic alignments. Planets go retrograde and back direct and all of this. We have 4 planetary stelliums moving at this time, and there's just so much energy. And it's really important, therefore, to discover how to co-create with our inner center. A lot of times, and I still notice this in my own life, we're too busy with something. So what we do, we set aside time for that, and then we forget that, there's also other aspects of our life that are, in flux and that need to be attended to. So a lot of times we say, I don't have time for that. But we place some sort of external responsibility to something or someone else to take care of that as we're doing the other thing. What happens is if we want to experience something, now we're being really asked that we need to take total charge of it, total responsibility for it. So for example, if I want to create a beautiful meal for myself, this is just very banal example, but these very trivial examples can show us this the most, And as you know, our spiritual life is mirrored in everything that we do, to the most physical of things. This is what it is. This is what self-mastery means. So if I want to create that, I can't then put, therefore, that responsibility to somebody else and say, well, it didn't come out as I wanted to, and, it wasn't my focus. So we need to learn that if we want to create something, our energy needs to be a part of it. Our energy signature needs to be part of that thing. So if I'm creating something, it needs to be partially if not wholesomely, my energy. So you can co-create it with somebody else who resonates with you. Or you can do it yourself, but the responsibility and, the self-governing needs to come through us. So today, I think it's today, the Saturn, the Lord of responsibility and our spiritual growth and, self-assessment, this planet that a lot of people still hold in their minds and their projections is a very hard spiritual teacher. And these Saturnian lessons, so to say, they take us very hard, and associated with lots of strife or difficulty, which is not really true, because once we let go and we just take charge beautifully, with our inner self-empowerment, we take charge of our life, we take the control, not the mind control, but the control through surrendering, the control that we know that our higher divinity is actually doing everything that we need, that our soul is providing us with on our soul path of expansion. So when we really embrace that responsibility, things no longer seem hard, they feel in flux. So today I've been writing an article update about this. You can see that on my webpage, but I wish to focus here more on how this is actually felt in our lives, because a lot of people now are having spiritual experiences that are beyond words. They cannot describe them, like for example, one of the divine companions, one of my recent readings was actually focusing on this. And we still have that mind sometimes that wants to give meaning and analytical aspect to everything, the moment that we have an experience. A lot of times we say, I don't understand this, I don't understand it, and therefore we kind of put ourselves in the place of, I don't understand. I'm not a creator all the answers are not within me. So we keep saying that to ourselves. But in actual truth, we can say to ourselves, okay, I don't have all the answers now. I don't see everything right away from this bigger picture. But to say, I don't know, to constantly say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, and keep repeating that story, it's just we're constantly putting ourselves from that space of self-empowerment, while at the same time we're seeking approval and confirmation and, validation from other people. Like a lot of people tune into the external sources and resources for information on what's happening with their ascension, which is really has nothing to do with your physical ascension anyway. It's a very intimate process. And my journey, Spirit always guides me to share my own example by living it and putting out there the bigger, the universal truths of all creation. But I can give, tiny details and answers or, directions of the paths of other people, of other individuals. This is their purpose. That's their part. So, a lot of the people now are shifting in this third eye perception. There's a lot of violet energy coming through at this time. There's a huge transformation for all of us. But at the same time, like I've said in one of my recent updates, we have like this white energy because we had the rainbow light activating, and the rainbow brings forth this white light of creation and this total blank slate, because we're going to be creating our lives from now. And this is going to be important to remember first who you are, to learn these lessons, and then to master them. This is kind of like a Trinity aspect of how we become the co-creators, and the earth is kind of a school for becoming the creator of this physical reality and not being a victim of, the government, the shadow people, the negative ETs. All of that is taking place, but we're not victims from it. They're actually playing a huge part for showing us that, these triggers are needed for us to step further into our power. This is what they are. So if we see everything in this neutral perspective, we will see what it's all about. So taking a step back and further explaining this is there's a lot of people who try to give explanations for what's happening, very mentally, and our ascension cannot be actually accessed this way. The experience that is really birthed through your own inner spirit, it's just so powerful, it is so intense, and it's not wishy-washy, it's not fluffy, it's not all wow. But it is this sense of something that changes you profoundly from deep within. And a lot of people who approach this mentally don't have these experiences. They talk about what ascension should be, what it is, but eventually when you really get to this point, when universal truths and principles of creation are a seed part of you, which they already are, they always were, you just forgot about, maybe for a while on your soul journey. And you start remembering, you start expanding, and you start embracing this, and you start becoming the creator of the new. And the new is always something different. The new is always about mastering a new level. It's, some people ask me, but when do you know you've become a total master? When do you know you've got it all figured out? And I said, well, if you even asking yourself this question, you don't even understand what it means, because it doesn't end somewhere. And then, okay, even if it ends somewhere, it's going to implode and explode into something else, because this is how creation works. And the moment you will have your own inner internal version of knowing of that truth, it will come to you in a very unique feeling, a unique sense that will flow through your experiences, and they will be felt. And until then, it will just be an intellectual, logical, analytical process, which is not the true ascension. So all these questions, they might serve you on a certain part of your journey, but to really become these co-creator beings and to start shaping our lives according to the divine plan of our soul and the new blueprints that we are all receiving at this time, because everything was being rewritten, and not going with certain dogmas, and transcending so many things. Like I've shared in my previous video, this idea about, this ideology that the light workers need to suffer and take in other people's crap and all these things. This was so connected with the whole Joshua manipulation, that he had to die for our sins and he cleansed the worldly sins. So therefore, why is there so many people still trapped in these negativity patterns? It just doesn't make sense, okay, when you look at it this way. And a lot of people still think that when you're really a light worker, you will suffer and you will need to save or rescue others. And this is never what Joshua and other masters did. They came for a specific purpose, just like we do. And they walked it in neutrality. They became aware. They started the walk of their mastery. And they expanded their path to a greater magnitude. And that's what it was about. So in this part of our journey, we're really seeing that everything is becoming more instant. Everything is like a direct ripple out. So whatever you send out, it's already coming back, returned to you. So I've noticed something very trivial today in my life, created through the aspect of what I shared with you earlier about the, if you want to have something, then you will be able to put your energy into it and not put the responsibility to somebody else. So I was so busy working on my blog, and this was a part of my old, and I wanted to see that mirror, so I put it there for myself, so in order to see and reflect what is maybe still coming from a reaction that's really old and really doesn't fit me any longer. And the moment you say it doesn't fit, you stretch, you breathe in into new, and it's really good. And you will respond differently the next time, because this is what we do. And it was just this feeling that, wow, it came so suddenly. The realizations, the awakenings are instant now. It's no longer for a lot of us this need to find the answers. You already know. It's always like a constant awareness. You're aware of everything. It's just how you will implement that in your physical daily life. From the tiniest of the thing to the tiniest of the seed of the dot that you might think, oh, that's not really spiritual. If you're still saying that, you're still creating duality. Everything to the tiniest grain of the sand is reflecting the whole. And also I want to mention about this aspect of wholeness, because a lot of people perceive me as being alone, and I just, a lot of people say, you're very comfortable in being alone. Wow, we admire you. And I'm not alone, I'm whole. That's the difference. I'm never alone. We never are. But I'm just an individual who is fully comfortable and residing in their own divinity space, and I'm whole. You can't talk about wholeness. You gotta experience, you gotta live it. So when somebody sees it reflected through another, they might have a glimpse of it, but until it's still a perception that is mental and intellectual, you will perceive it maybe as something else, and you will describe it through those filters you're still creating within you. But the moment you will have an exact experience that will be unique to you, but you will have your own experience of it, what does it mean to be whole, you will also feel what that energy was trying to tell you coming from another, and you will see these mirrors. Talking about mirrors also, last week somebody wrote me an email that I shouldn't be sharing things, in my pleasure and how I love to live my life and having all this joyful activities, that I shouldn't be sharing it this way because a lot of people are still suffering, so they wouldn't feel bad. And, there was just another example of these filters that we created, this negativity. And then when I shared about this through awareness, which is what I often like to do, I like to take these examples and put them out there, not to, put a finger on anybody, because I never mention anybody's name. It's just an example how we can all benefit from the higher awareness that comes about this. I like to share, because our life is our biggest teacher. We learn through our life, and that's why I share these life examples. Sometimes, they might seem trivial, but they're not, they're just the actual aspects of how we can expand. And somebody else then shared that I'm actually, that person is just my own mirror, and that I'm judging as well as putting it out there. And there's a difference in judging when you react to something and when you really do blame another, and when you just share it through awareness and you expand and you allow others to as well through these examples. So I wanted to, and I explained a lot about mirroring last week, and through my articles you can read about that, because there's a lot of relationships aspect and learning about that coming through, and it's going to be ongoing until Mars is in Libra very much intensely. Well, always, but now is this intensified period when this is so. So this is going to be still for a few months, and now actually Mars went retrograde in this energy, so it's going to be even deeper insights into it. And mirroring, what it actually means is not that just everybody, is your mirror. Everything, we are one, yes. Everything is a part of us, just how we are a part of everything else, the micro within the macrocosm. Tiny ripple in the sea of energy, what? Is it the sea or is it the tiny ripple? It's all one. But it doesn't mean that every single aspect will mirror you. Like to say that those who still played out the negativity in this world are my mirrors. If I'm purified, if I live in neutrality, it's still a part of me, because we're all one. That doesn't mean it's my direct mirror, because the mirroring always resides in the way we respond to our reality, to our life. So if I react to something, it's still my mirror. It shows me something that's still coming out of me. But if I just respond to it awareness, it's a different kind of mirror. So I see a lot of people trying to put everything in these boxes, black, white, and they just say things without understanding them. It's like, putting out a popular phrase, like everybody says, well, it's all a law of attraction, without even understanding it on a higher spiritual basis. It is so superficial, it's not deep enough. So until we have a deeper understanding what certain things and aspects of our spiritual maturity mean, we can't just babble things out there pretending we know about it. We do know, but as long as we talk about things this way that are really irrational, and without proper understanding, we're not really acting as though we know. You know what I mean? In the deepest of the truth, we all know it's within us, but we don't always act this way. So this is really important. The person afterwards, they actually said that, it was just bashing out at me. It has everything to do with their own internal self and all the overflowing things and feelings coming through them. But I was asking myself, so if you do know and if you are aware that it's your own things coming up, then why do you do that? Why do you still share that in a negative way with somebody? Why do you still criticize them? Why do you still judge them? Why do you still project? It's because we do know, but we don't implement it, you see? So the moment you know it's not right, when you know you're judging, you are being dualistic in your approach. You're not coming from unity consciousness, but you still do it. It doesn't help you. Just knowing things is never enough. Because just knowing things and never changing anything on this planet, it's not a part of the shift. So knowing is the first thing that births and awakens that seed within us. And then it's what we do with that knowing. So this is what this Ascension update is going to focus about, because I want to share a bit about this. How to create, how to become these beautiful co-creator beings of the divine. It's like with every single thing we encounter upon that is actually a part of our physical life. And we think of, we don't even see that that's when we do our spiritual practice, and everything in the old spirituality paradigm was about doing spiritual practice. Having some sort of a spiritual practice aside your daily life. But Ascension is about becoming your spiritual practice in all ways. So we really become these new co-creator beings when we can channel forth every aspect of divinity, of divine grace, of compassionate love, of higher understanding, of wisdom that comes through awareness and experience. Awareness is never birthed without an experience that wisdom is about. So through that, we will be able to birth things, new realities, new aspects, new paradigms. This is what births things forth. It's awareness. It's not just the thoughts that create. Thoughts are what starts to magnify the process, but the real aspect of where your co-creation begins is your overall awareness. And it's really important that this awaits us. So we have this new energetic month now, March. It vibrates with the energy of 10, which is, it adds up to 1, which is new beginnings, new revelations, new chapters in our book, our soul book. And just today I was running up the hill. We have this local hill. It's about 1,000 meters of latitude, and I did my run. And I was just thinking about spring, and all of a sudden something guides me to look to the left, and there was this beautiful yellow butterfly. My second one I saw this year. The first one was in January, which was a bit odd, butterflies, yellow ones in January. Then afterwards we had the snow, and I don't know where they went then, but they came back, and they're good and safe. And yellow, yellow is always that fresh energy, new beginnings, like the leaves before they turn very much dark green, they're kind of like this yellowish green color first. So it's this first buds, so everything is awakening now. Even in nature, the birds are singing like crazy, and this is all, it's always where this co-creation begins. So this year, the new astrological year that we're about to enter, and with the equinox, until then we still have a lot of energy to prepare. So it matters what we're going to take with us, because our future is always defined by where we are now. It's all one, it's just now. But it's very important that each moment you live the alignment. You don't postpone or wait it, for some other moment to come, Okay, I have 2 weeks until this planet is retrograde, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to expand into that. Don't postpone, I had this beautiful awareness coming through. What still vibrates with the old, and I saw when I was doing my art blog, a part of me still was saving things for later, and I didn't do it right away. So at the end, I had to take all day to post all that I created until now, and it was just so much stuff. At the same time, I was really excited because I saw, is this how much I created in this short time, in maybe just 3 months? Wow. But at the same time, it was just so overwhelming, and it was good because it brought up another aspect of me. What happens when you leave things for the next, for the next moment, when you don't do them right away? This is again the Saturnian lessons, is claim the responsibility and do everything now, through devotion, through the self-care and attainment in the now. Because when we don't, we just store it for later, and we create a lot of this resistance and not being in the flow. So when I did this, I had to have the whole day reserved just for that. And I had this funny experience because I was posting all these things that I created on my blog, and all of a sudden the blogger forum says, "You've posted too much today. Now you need to prove that you're not a robot, so you gotta press these silly numbers and phrases they give you." And I'm like, oh my gosh, even the internet knows, I don't want to be a robot. I'm a being of divine love. So this was just some sort of Virgo humor out there. But I knew that this was an aspect of me. Don't do everything so much all at once, because you were saving it for some moment, and it's going to overwhelm you. So the whole thing on our journey this time, I want to say that eventually in your life it will come to a point when you will feel like, is this it? I feel I've done so much, mastered so much. What now? When you come to the now what phase, it's good, because the what now phase, the white blank slate, is the part when you take over as claiming your natural birthright as a co-creator being and remembering your power, because the human consciousness was created to birth worlds, yes, but it needs to develop its seed potential to that level first. And this is beautifully explained in Salvador Kelly's books, and it's just how it is. We can't skip those steps of how co-creation comes into being. We gotta really master what is right here in front of us. We gotta take those steps. And a lot of people also tell me, wow, that I speak in Ascension in a way that most people don't. And I tell you guys, there's a lot of trivial things out there, and a lot of approaches that are really not coming from direct physical experience. A lot of people think they have some sort of experiences, but let me tell you this example. Somebody talks about teleportation when it's not even important at this time. For example, the spirit guidance is always in the now. What is important for me in the now? What is important for the collective in the now? Like, for example, my group, extending wider and wider out. And then when we master that level, we move into the next one. So a lot of the New Age community is talking about these fanatical aspects, and all is this big wow when we're not even there yet. This, for me, is not being grounded. So when I talk about groundedness, it doesn't just mean eating grounding food and being present in the now and grounded. That's one aspect of it. To be grounded means to be where you need to be at this moment, where your focal point should be for your soul expansion at this time, and for the overall group of us together. So if we want to escape somewhere already, well, we still didn't finish this part. What's going to happen? Is this really going to be divine creation and perfection? Source through creation is always expanding, experiencing, and trying and implementing something new, and we're a part of that. We're a part of that. Wow, But it needs to be done all with awareness. So there is no awareness if you skip steps. Everything will always about the awareness, the knowledge that is gained forth through that. And this, I just got a book from Dolores Cannon, the third part of the Convoluted Universe, which I'm gonna read bits by bits, probably for a few months, because this is how I read. And it was the same as written there. The whole point of everything is this knowledge, this wisdom that we gain from these experiences, and then we take them back into the whole of creation. So it's constantly expanding, and the new worlds are being birthed. And at the same time, a lot of us are still asking ourselves, but what is true guidance? How do you know? What's the mind? What's this? So many people fear that. But even they shared in the book that it's about the feeling. When it's a feeling, the kind of feeling that feels so intense, not the fanatic feeling that everything is wow, but there's no feeling in the heart. But the feeling when you just know things. Sometimes it makes you teary. Yeah, the bird said yes. It's amplifying my message. And it's just that kind of feeling that when it's an inner knowing. And this is what divine guidance is all based on. So our psychic centers are expanding too, and the next video I'll be devoting to that topic. I want to do the block thing first, you know, as it needs to be, perfect alignment, and then I'll be focusing on the video because it will be a longer video. I made notes and I want to really show a few examples of how to really be sovereign and free, and to really walk in that mastery without any control, manipulations, agendas, and all of that. This is very important. So my beloved ones, I don't know, I touched some subjects, I touched some notes, the rest is up to you. And as always, I posted a weekly spirit message on my Ascension Pioneers webpage, well, Facebook page, actually. So you can tune into that as well. You can see my new blog, and I'll talk to you soon when I can, when I create. Okay, bye.